Hey everybody, I wanted to jump on here and do a quick flip through. I've got 3 journals that I just recently completed, and they kind of all, they don't go together, but they kind of do. The backstory is I'm working on 10,000 other things, as we always do. But I participated in an online auction earlier the month of December, and ended up with a handful of old books: The Girl of the Limberlost, The Melting of Molly, and Miss Minerva's Baby, along with a couple of others that I'm still playing around with. But right now, my house is in a bit of a disarray. And so these books came in from the auction, and they just were sitting in my way, basically. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to jump into these, and I'm going to do some quick journals, and I'm going to go through my stash of ephemera. Through this last year, I've participated in a couple of challenges and ended up with quite a stash of ephemera. Pre-made tags, journal cards, things like that. And I thought, I'm just going to go through and make kind of a commonplace journal, but kind of give it some sort of theme, but use my ephemera in them, my pre-made ephemera. So these 3 journals, I have a lot of pre-made ephemera that really doesn't go, but it does. And I have a lot of old photographs that I had in my stash. Some of these came from the auction. I got a little stash from the auction. And so I just pulled out some papers, pulled out some lace, pulled out my ephemera box, pulled out some old photos, and just kind of made them happen. And I was pretty pleased with that. I had to do very little ephemera making for these 3, which made them all come together fairly quickly. I kind of tackled them all over a weekend. Of course, it's been the holidays, and so I just kind of tackled them on a long holiday weekend. So we'll start with The Melting of Molly. Again, it's an old book. I kept the spine, and I added this old photo just because she looks like she's pretty melted. She looks like, we've had enough. We're done. Added these hand crocheted doilies. It's got a eyelet hole punch on front and back, tied with some coordinating hem facing, bias tape, whatever it's called. It runs under the photo and all the way through. So, again, we'll just jump in. The color theme for this is kind of a mauve color, pink, of course, in the old photos and all that. And so I kind of played around with this as the idea of Molly, and maybe you could tell a story about Molly, and this is her story kind of thing. I don't know. I just mainly was kind of going with coordinating stuff and using up ephemera. So you'll see a lot of old photographs. There's not a lot going on as far as, again, storyline or anything like that. So I'm just going to that's why I kind of decided to do these 3 flip throughs all together. This was an ephemera piece I made, as was this. And I say I made previously, not for this book specifically. This journal has a handful of empty blank pages for writing. This was a previously made ephemera piece. This piece I made for the book. It's the front page of the book, and it has the copyright of 1912. I laminated it with this playing card just to kind of give it some decoration. So this is basically just a tag. You can't really write on it because it's laminated, but it's in there for funsies. Kind of going with keeping a little bit of the book with it. Again, all pre-made ephemera. There's my little bird cards that I made just recently. This was an old photograph cabinet card that I got from the auction. A little playing card. This was ephemera image from the book. This was a pre-made. So like I said, I kept it pretty simple as far as making any ephemera for these, specifically for these books. I used any of the images that were in the books is mainly the only ephemera I made. Excuse me, I got the hiccups this morning, specifically for this book. Some more pre-made ephemera, a pre-made fabric flip. There is a little journal card tucked in here. Just made out of some scrapbook paper. I added some lace. More pre-made ephemera. This was made for this book. Basically, I had an old photograph and I just attached a fly page for the book on it. Added some little floof. Okay, sorry about that. I got interrupted by a phone call. Okay, so again, pre-made ephemera. I made very little ephemera for these books, which allowed me to just kind of make the books and not really stress too much over the floofiness of getting all the ephemera and all that good stuff. But they are still pretty filled with ephemera. This was a little envelope I had. I cut her out of the book. This is apparently Miss Molly. This was some pre-made ephemera, little notebook. I'll tuck it in there. This little fancy little envelope I had. Pre-made ephemera. Pre-made ephemera. This was a little cluster that I had made a while back. This pocket was made, I think in my April round robin, and right here was a little weird grape thing that Cindy at Studio Lou had sent me, but the glue popped it off, so we replaced it with a flower. Yeah, and I was okay with that. This tag was pre-made. This was a little image from the book. Again, just added a little bit of floof to it and backed it, and simple ephemera make. I don't normally do my journals like this. From the book, a little playing card tucked in there. But like I said, these 3 books were kind of hanging out in my space, in my way, and so I thought, we're just gonna make something out of them. And so I did. I spent the whole weekend. I was really in a good flow. There's little bits of just plain paper throughout, so that's why I'm flipping through those pretty quickly. There's another one of my bird cards, and this ephemera was made from the book. A little cabinet card used as a tuck spot. This was the little card that went with that little envelope. It says friends are treasures, little blank writing space. Pre-made ephemera. Yeah, I was really in a flow, and I thought, you know what? We're going to make these happen with these journals. Pre-made ephemera. Little playing card as our little tuck spot. And this was an image from the book as well that I did on the back cover. So pretty simple, but turned out really good. I'm pretty pleased with this one, and all 3 of them actually. The Girl of Limberlost, I actually probably should have done some more research on this book. Apparently Limberlost is a place, and it's a swampy place. So I could have went marshland swamp with this one. I have plenty of stuff that's sitting over there staring at me saying, you need to make these marsh journals because I have 2 more to go. But I could have went marshy with this, or I actually could have, it's a story about a moth collector, a girl who collects moths. So I could have went mothy with it, but I didn't, because I didn't do my research. So I just made it, again, another ephemera filled, old pictures, old lace, things like that. Kept the cover, kept the spine, added some lace and some ribbon, eyelet punched front and back cover with some semi-coordinating ribbon, added some fabric scraps and a cabinet card to the front. And again, you'll see I kept a lot of the book, not a lot of the book, but I kept pages of the book for the front and back cover, I do believe. Yep. The back cover is about the illustrations in here. There was 4, and so I've made them into ephemera pieces and used that page as my back page. There was a list of characters and Elnora, who collects moths to pay for her education and lives the golden rule, which she was a main character. But anyways, so that's a little journal card that I made out of a page from the book. This is the fly page with the author and the copyright 1909. I've laminated this with some leaves, just again to give it a little homage to the book. There's really nothing you can do with that because you can't write on it because it's laminated. To all girls of the Limberlost in general, and one Jeanette Helen Porter in particular. A little journal card. This was the dedication of the book. Cut it out and made a card out of it. Cabinet card, tuck spot. This is a hidden paper clip with a little bit of my pre-made cluster on it. This is image from the book. Again, I did 3 or 4 simple ephemera pieces, journal pages, journal cards out of the images from the book. A Girl of the Limberlost. This was a fly page with the title on it. Tuck that in there. This was a cabinet card. This was a quote from the book. Hearts do not break, they sting and ache, for old love's sake, but do not die, as witnessed the living eye. Made a pocket out of her with a little pre-made journal card. This was a pre-made card, ephemera piece that I had. Again, most of them fun little scrapbook paper. In all 3 of these is fancy scrapbook paper I used. Little bitty lacy fabric flip, pre-made ephemera, little playing card, a whole stash of pre-made ephemera. Again, I just kind of went through my stuff to see kind of what went. This kind of has a green theme to it. And again, the old photos and birds and flowers and things like that. This was an image from the book made into a journal card. There's my little bird cards that I did recently. Pre-made ephemera clipped to this edge here. This one has a couple of these butterfly stickers. I had a sheet with like 4 or 5 butterfly stickers in my stash that was kind of hanging around. I was like, okay, they're green, they match. Make it happen. As you can see, I've added lace, this green and blue lace. The blue really doesn't go, but we kind of made it go. This was an ephemera piece that I made. It's basically an old photo of a house. I backed it. I don't even know if I backed this, actually. Yep, I did back it. Backed it and added some lace to it. And we have a simple journal card. This was pre-made stash. This tuck spot was pre-made. These little stickers are throughout here. These are some painty page stickers that, jelly print stickers that my friend Mary Ellen had sent me. They're green, they're blue. We just stuck them in, made it work. Little tuck spot out of a playing card and a little scrap. Pre-made ephemera. Little cluster here, pre-made. This is another card from the book, clipped onto the page. More pre-made ephemera, little playing card, tucked into a playing card tuck spot. A little bird card, tucked in with that pre-made ephemera. A little lacy fabric flip. Plenty of room for journaling in this one. Here's another ephemera piece made out of an old photo of a house. You can go with the storyline of this, again, as to who this girl is, where she lives. I just kind of left it very vague. This was a pre-made ephemera. It's clipped into, paper clipped into this page. This was a scrap from the scrapbook paper. Pre-made ephemera, tags, and cards tucked in here. More writing space, journaling space. pre-made card with a little playing card tuck spot. This little belly band made with our little bird card. Another image from the book. And again, these images correspond with the kind of the illustrations list that was in the book. These were both pre-made. I thought this was cool that I finally found a place for this. I made this a while back. It's just a little bit of a collage on an old photo, but I think it works. Another little belly band with some pre-made ephemera and playing card tucked in there. Lots of journaling space. These are little just scraps from the scrapbook paper that I've used. They got a little bit of glitter on it with a little pre-made card. Tucked in a little playing card. A little playing card as a tuck spot on the back. And then I've signed it on the back of this one because there really wasn't room the way I did that back page. But it works. So that was the Girl of the Limberlost. Again, I could have went several different ways with this if I did my research. But again, I liked the cover and I just went with it. Miss Minerva's Baby, out of the 3 that I did that last weekend, this is my least favorite. I played around several different ways with the cover, but I just decided to leave it as it is. I went with a red, black, and yellowish theme with this one. Added some lace and some fabric trim to the edge, and it's tied with a string of lace. I used bits of the book for the front and back cover. This was the only, I think this was the only image in the book. Maybe. No. It's the only image, maybe the only image I used, but it was on the fly page, and it was signed by Josephine. I don't know who Josephine is. Maybe that's who owned the book before, but anyways. I assume that's Miss Minerva's Baby. I don't know. I've added a doily in the cover before I sewed my signatures in. Just because, again, red, black, and white was what I was kind of going with. Old pictures, things of that nature in this one as well. Here's some more of that fancy scrapbook paper. Again, I used pre-made ephemera. Plenty of journaling space. I've used some mulberry paper, some red, and some of this black. I know this is kind of odd for an old book because it's very bright and very modern. But I like to make my journals where you can write in them and you can add photos and stuff and decorate your own. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And you could also write with, a white gel pen or whatever, a more opaque marker or whatever on the black backside. Again, there's the red mulberry paper. This was some pre-made ephemera, as was this little tag. This was a pre-made journal card, but I glued it on to make a pocket. And you'll see this book has 3 or 4 of these black and white photos with quotes from the book, snippets from the book. So some of them make sense, some of them don't, but that's okay. Pre-made ephemera tucked in here and tucked here. Pre-made. Again, a black page. You can use a white gel pen or opaque markers. Pre-made ephemera. This little pre-made ephemera. Again, a little tuck spot of a playing card. Little tag here, tucked in there. Here's another one of our black and white photos, and I've backed them on black, but I've also given them some journaling space on the back side with a little bit from the book. Each of these books is 3 signatures. Yeah, each of them have 3 signatures. I don't know how many pages because I don't count my pages normally. Here is the fly page from this book. I've added a little flower and laminated it. This was copyright 1920. Again, you can't really do anything with that other than it's an homage to the book as to what's going on with the book, where it came from. pre-made ephemera clipped to this page. More of that mulberry paper. Pre-made ephemera tucked into this. This is some painty page watercolor paper that I had that I've stamped on, so you see it throughout. A little tuck spot made with a playing card. Another black and white photo with our book bit. Pre-made ephemera. And I struggled with, in these 3 books, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the temperature in my house or what, but my handy dandy weld bond glue was acting up. It's like it took forever for it to dry and nothing wanted to stick, and I ended up like clamping a lot of pieces, just pages, and you know, this one doesn't have lace on the ends of the pages, but the other 2 had lace trim, and I was forever fighting with the glue to make that happen. And I don't know why. Pre-made ephemera pieces. And see, here's another example. It's coming up, and I don't know why. And it wasn't just happening on, I thought maybe it was happening on the, like the playing cards because they're real slick. But it wasn't just happening on playing cards. It was happening on a fabric. It was happening on, of course, I'm almost out of this. I need to open a new bottle, but it was happening on several different pieces that I was like, what is going on here? And I've never had that problem before, so it was really weird. I was not at all impressed, but we managed to muddle through it. Pre-made ephemera. Another pre-made ephemera tag, and here is this. I was playing around this image. It's a black and white photo. I was playing around with putting this on the cover somewhere. It's a statue of a lady holding a baby and with a kid at her feet. I was playing around with it on the cover somewhere, but I just couldn't make it work. So we just turned it into a journal card. So there you have it. That one is Miss Minerva's baby. Now, so it's the beginning of the year. My plan is to get my Etsy shop up and going soon. It's been on vacation for the year 2024 as I went through some health issues. But I'm back, and it should be back and functioning soon. So anyways, all that to be said, you may or may not see these in my Etsy very soon. But currently they're all 3 available. If you're interested, just let me know. Until then, again, I just wanted to kind of do a combined flip through with all 3 of these because they kind of are the same in the realm that they are just journals that I've made, and I used pre-made ephemera. And I was able to thin my stash pretty well because I used quite a bit. And so it was oddly a game changer. I've struggled with this last year or so of making pre-made ephemera and having pre-made ephemera, you know, through the challenges and things like that we all participate in. Then I end up with a whole box of ephemera, and it's like, where am I going to use that? And so I just decided to go through my ephemera and make them work in these 3 books. That's kind of the way I tackled this. And I think that that's a good idea. It made these go really quickly. Like I said, I put these together in a long weekend. I had nothing else going on, obviously, and I was able to spend hours at my art space just kind of working on these. So, and again, minimal make of ephemera for these pieces, but they're filled with lots of pre-made ephemera, which is, again, a bit of a game changer. Going into 2025, that will change the way I think about making ephemera. So, anyways, thanks for joining me again for these 3 flip throughs. They're pretty much the same, but kind of different. And I'm ready to get this year started with some more journals. I promise I will get to those 2 March journals eventually. I've just kind of I'm frustrated with them right now. So so I'm doing other things, being productive in other ways. So anyways, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys soon enough. Bye for now.